Hey, hope you're well. I've just taken delivery of a box of goodies from Benchdogs Co. UK, including some delightful measuring and marking tools. I'll be looking at those in a future video, but what we're looking at today in particular is the CSC SYS Fence. That's the fence and flag stop system for the Festool CSC SYS 50 trim saw. So I've had the Festool trim saw for 4.5, coming up to 5 months now. Absolutely love it. It's just does everything I want in the workshop in a small, quiet and precise table saw. The only thing that's missing really, apart from the obvious mains cable, is some kind of flag stop or fence on the miter gauge for repeat cuts. Now, I showed in a previous video how you can actually remove the fence extrusion and attach it to the miter gauge, which gave you a T-slot that you could sort of kind of use. It is a proprietary extrusion though, so you end up lashing together a little flag stop, which is what I did, and it does function perfectly well, but it does look like what it is, which is a bit of a lash up. Enter Benchdogs, and Ralph's been busy making an adapter plate and a fence system to attach to the miter gauge. Let's have a quick look at what you get in the package. Now, just as you know, I am a Benchdogs affiliate. I may earn from qualifying sales, so be sure to use the offer code 10-minute workshop at checkout for a 5% discount across the board at Benchdogs Co. UK. Also worth mentioning too that this is a pre-production sample that I've been sent. I'm told that in the final shipping version, this plate will be anodized black like everything else. So in the box we've got the adapter plate and a couple of knurled screws and a couple of T-nuts. We've got the Benchdogs flag stop. We've got a little triangular dingus, we'll come to that later on, and we've got some lengths of the standard Benchdogs fence extrusion. This one's 330 millimeters. There's also a 625 and a 1 meter 1000 mil extrusion as well. Let's get this slotted in onto the miter gauge. I'll show you how easy it is to get a flag stop on there. So we're just going to remove the fence extrusion of the Festool miter gauge. Make sure we keep that little square nut, because any Festool CSC SYS owner will tell you that's a proprietary part. The adapter plate has little notches milled out of it, and they go right over the centre there, and we use the Festool original screw to tighten that up. And then we can slide the Benchdogs fence extrusion over those T-nuts. So the fence locates nicely. And then we can just fit the flag stop. Make sure that T-nut goes in okay. And that slides along there nicely. Oops. That's kind of the fitting pretty much done. Couple of things you want to be aware of. Obviously the fence is 40 mil high. You can set it to 20 mil high if you prefer. You use the lower set of holes in the adapter plate. At the 40 mil high setting, it's not going to play nicely with the blade guard. What you need to do is set the blade height to a minimum of 36 millimeters, and then it'll go through nicely. Front and back. What you might see there is a little bit of almost jamming against the blade guard as the fence returns. This is where the little dingus, the triangle, comes in, and that just slots in the back of the fence and takes that problem away. Okay, so that's the basic mechanics of it all set up. Fairly obviously this isn't fixed at the moment, it needs calibrating. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can either use a 1mm shim against the teeth of the blade. Benchdogs produce machine guides for that. I'm going to do it a slightly different way. I'm quite happy with the fence on here. I've set that to 100 mil, and I'm just going to rip a 100 mil piece of plywood and then set the flag stop to that, if that makes sense. Let me just get on and do that, and it'll all become clear. So we can set our flag stop to 100 mil. And we can run that piece of plywood in against the teeth of the blade. And just ease the fence over until it just touches, and then lock it down. And that is now set and calibrated. So if you wanted to swap this out for a longer fence, that's easily done. Just loosen off those little knurled knobs at the back here. Oops. Take off the triangular dingus, which is easier said than done. Swap that out and put on the next one. So fairly obviously, every time you change the fence, you will have to recalibrate. Perhaps it's worth keeping that 100 mil little strip of plywood handy if it's something you plan on doing frequently. But it's hardly an onerous task. I mentioned earlier that one thing you do get with the 625 and the 1000 mil fence extrusion is this little extra support bracket. This just gives wider workpieces that little bit of extra support. So if you did want to cut something that was, let's say, 510 mil, you could do that without any problem. So there we are, that's a quick overview of the Benchdogs CSC SYS fence system for the Festool CSC SYS 50 trim saw. The standard Benchdogs 330mm fence is a little bit wider, a little bit longer than the stock Festool fence, and if you need to make cuts in a workpiece that's wider than the cut is long, then the longer fence extrusions are definitely worth a look. The system's available for pre-order at Benchdogs Co.uk now, shipping I think from towards the end of October, and prices starting from around £60–65 or so for the smaller version. Check out the Benchdogs website for details and current prices, and don't forget to use that discount code 10-minute workshop for a 5% discount across the board at Benchdogs Co.uk. I'll call this one done for this week though. Thanks so much for taking a look. Thanks as well to Ralph at Benchdogs for giving me hands-on with a pre-production sample, and I'll see you all again very soon. All right, take care.